Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. As we always like to do, I'm very excited about the new series that we're starting tonight, but we've got to start with first things first, which is connecting with you. So do us a huge favor. See right here at the bottom here, people who usually come on Monday nights know what we do. I'm not interested in just being a talking head over here, though I am in a studio in California. I want to be able to connect with you. So do us a huge favor. Jump inside of the chat, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, and tell us where you're joining us from. Tell us what you're excited about, what you feel momentum on in your life. So again, your name should pop up there, but tell us where you are joining us from. And also, if you've got any questions or you've got comments or thoughts, we'd love for you to populate that chat widget on the entire time. Also, do us a huge favor, like and share this post, because commenting, liking, sharing, you watching, all of those things tell YouTube and Facebook that we're doing a good job. That's all we're hoping to get from you out of that. Let me say hello to a few people. There's Santos. It's been a little while, Santos. It's good to see you from Stockton, California. Kimberly is joining us from Chicago. And we have Vividly from Tucson, Arizona. Diane is joining us from South Carolina. Sandy is joining us from New Jersey. Glad to be back on board. So good. If you're just making it into the room, you haven't missed anything yet, just let us know that you're here. Jump inside of the chat widget and say hello to us. Tell us where you're joining us from. And maybe what you're excited about today. Again, new series tonight, and I'm pretty stoked because this is going to be the first of, I think we're going to run the series for an entire month, and we'll get to the end of it, and it'll be amazing and hopefully life-changing for you, as well as life-changing for your clients, as well as you learn some more things. Rain is joining us from Florida. Welcome. Anybody else like to say hello to us as we are beginning? And again, what we always do is we want to interact with you. So jump into the comments. Let us know that you're here. It's the only way that we know that you're here is if you comment. Also, like and share this. So if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, just take 1 second, just tap that thing. I promise you we won't follow you or stalk you or any of those other things. I just want Facebook and YouTube to know that we're trying our best to give you guys content and helping you. And so that just tells them that we're doing a good job. I'd really appreciate that. Cool. All right. We'll leave that up for a second. If anybody wants to let us know that, that we're here. Where are we starting this week? We're talking about living an aligned life. Now, I know that in some cases, alignment has been, depending on where you're at, you might have heard it as a buzzword over the last few years, something like that. And people have different ideas about what that means. And some people have kind of mystical ideas about what that means. And some have more practical ideas of what that means. And let me say this, is that I do believe that we have a calling and a purpose on our life that's bigger than us. But at the exact same time, I think that there are real practical things and practical tools and practical ways that we can actually discover what these things are. Because it's what I want to do tonight is I want to show you the ways that you can actually grow into an awareness if you are living a life that's not really in alignment. There's some real warning signs, some critical things that maybe you haven't paid a whole lot of attention to. And I like to think of that as being kind of like the check engine light on your car. Let me say hello to a couple more people. There's Linda, who's saying hello to us from, oh, there it goes. Linda's joining us from Illinois. So it's good to see you, Linda. Anybody else want to say hello? Betty's joining us from Florida. Good to see our Florida people in the house. Keep those comments going because I will come back to them in just a little bit. But going back to this thought, what does alignment mean? Really, what alignment means is, well, you're aligned in what, though? You're aligned in agreement in various areas of your life. And when you're aligned in various agreements, in agreement with various areas of your life, then you get to the destination that you want to get to. And there are warning signs along the way that tell you that you are not aligned, and it also will prevent you from getting to where you want to go in your life. I mean, let's think about alignment in general. Where do we hear that word commonly? Well, we hear it in, if any of you have ever had a car that was out of alignment, well, it was pretty easy to tell that it was out of alignment. There's a few different reasons. Depending on what degree of alignment that it was out of, you could, I remember when I was in high school, I had to get a ride to school because I didn't drive and I didn't get a car until after I was out of high school. And my friend, who we both lived really far away from school, he ended up moving in closer to school, so I couldn't get a ride anymore. So there was this lady who worked in the area that I would get a ride from every morning. And the two worst things that I remember about this drive every day is that she would smoke a ton of cigarettes, and she would think she was giving me a break, but she would just barely crack the window, and her smoke would kind of go up there, but I'm showing up to school smelling like smoke. But the other problem was she drove this little Dodge Shadow. And I don't know if you guys remember those. Those cars were popular for a couple of years there. Little car, but it was out of alignment. And it was so bad that it would be shaking the entire time. And so I'm watching her be all intense. And she literally had the steering wheel turned at about a 25-degree angle the entire time, trying to keep it on the road. Meanwhile, this looks very intense. I wondered if part of her reason for smoking so many cigarettes every day was because she's trying to hold on to the wheel, and it was giving her a lot of anxiety. But even there, for me, sitting there was kind of like, boy, this is a bit stressful. Is it that expensive just to go in and let them just kind of figure out where these wheels are and where they need to turn? See, the reality is that when you go into a car repair place, they will look at how far out of alignment something is, and they'll make, in these days they've got it by computer, so they can literally look in, and to the degree they can move all of the parts that need to move, because what needs to happen? Well, there's a lot of things that need to happen in there to keep it on the road, but the reality is that you're going to wear out your tires after a while if you're not in alignment. Even if you are holding the steering wheel at a 25-degree angle and it's keeping you on the road, you're wearing your tires, and you can only do that for so long before you don't have any tires anymore. You obviously can't cruise and you can't be at rest, which is a really good sign in life. If you don't have alignment, is that you can never be at rest, because you've got to stay focused trying to hold on to things all the time. So it's another really good sign that something's up, because if you fall asleep at the wheel, then or you're just not paying attention for a short period of time, that you're going to veer off. And it doesn't always mean that people's lives are going to end in destruction. I would say at the very least that it's not going to get them to their destination like they were really hoping. So here's what the warning signs, and again, what we'll do over the next few weeks is we'll pick apart some of this metaphor so that you can see how it actually applies, so that you can address these particular areas in your life. But I want to give you 5 signs that really show 5 signs that your life is actually out of alignment. And say hello to a couple more people. Jennifer, who's joining us from Arizona. Let me say hello really quick. And Miles, who's joining us from San Diego. All right, cool. All right, let's jump in. First sign: negative thoughts and emotions are actually driving you in your life. That's going to be your first sign. Now, a lot of people don't really think, well, I don't always have negative thoughts and negative emotions. But if this is what's operating in your life to any degree, and really what you can do is that you can usually look at your emotional state during the week. So what is your mental state and what is your emotional state? And what if I was to write a lot of these down? I'll give you an example of what some of those things would be. The easy way to know if your emotional state or if your negative thoughts or your emotions are dictating your life and are running your life instead of you, all I've got to do is give you basically, you know what I do? I'd give you a little thing, you throw it in your calendar, and about every 30 minutes that you would check in with your emotional state. I used to do this with clients all the time. And so what you can find is Like if I start my day, it's 7 a.m. and now let's say at 7:30, let's say at 8, let's say at 8:30, what I would want you to do, and you guys can do this to yourself, 8:30, and then you go 9, and then 9:30, and then 10:30. I'd like you to do this for a week. And then we get to 11:30 and noon. I'm just going to show you just through noon, okay? So if I get you to check in, your alarm goes off, and we just ask, what is your emotional state right now? That's the question that you're going to ask right now. Or I could also say, what emotion is the prevailing feeling that you are experiencing? Because your feelings, your emotional state is going to tell me everything that I need to know about where your mind has been and how you're actually viewing the world. So if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I got to get up and I've got to get ready for work or whatever, and you're feeling numb or you're feeling a little bit of dread, well, I know that we've got anxiety that's ruling there. 7:30, oh, I'm trying to rush around and get something to eat, and now we're still dealing with anxiety here. And then we finally get to work, and you notice that when you get to work, that there's a little bit of dread and fear. And then we get into work, and it's dread and fear, because you know why? Because you're going to be doing something that is purposeless at work. So now we know what your emotional state is there. And then we get to 8:30, and you know what you're doing is that you're at work, but you're thinking how the job is insignificant. So now we've got that feeling and that emotional state. So what we can find is we could track this, and if we go through your day and there are a lot of peaks of anxiety, if there is boredom, if there's frustration, if there's anger, if there is guilt that you're feeling about things, we can just go down the list here. That's all I really need to know about what's actually driving you in your life. Because if you're aligned, we know that we're not having those experiences during our day. Doesn't mean that you can't ever have anxiety. It doesn't mean that you can't feel apprehensive every now and then. It can't mean that you're never frustrated or whatever. I'm not saying that it can't mean, but those are momentary things. What emotional states are you living in? Oh, and let me say this then. Because what's the opposite of these things? That's what we would have to look at. Like if I'm going to get you to do that this week, then I would say compare that to how often you feel joy, you feel excited, you feel alive, you feel fully manifested, you feel in control, you feel at peace, you feel good, you feel in flow, you feel like you're thriving, you feel ambitious, you feel like you are looking forward to the future. See, this is the normal states of alignment right here. So you've got to, if I'm going to figure out where you're living and what's driving you, then all we've got to do is that we've just got to compare. How much of your day every day currently are you spending in flow, excited, looking forward, knowing that there's potential, feeling accomplished, feeling like something's actually happening in your life that's moving you forward? How much of that? And you could probably think about that without even going through your day tomorrow. but I want you to do this throughout your day. Set 30-minute increments and check in with your emotional state and what you're thinking about. Also, the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself and about your future and about your surroundings and about your family and about your relationships and all of those other things. If you're experiencing high level of dissatisfaction in your life, when you check in throughout your day, then it's also telling you all that you need to know about the fact that you are unaligned right now with regard to your life. Now, that means that you are not driving your car, something else is driving your car. And I can tell you this, that guilt is not going to get you to where you want to go. Why would we be experiencing guilt? Well, we'll get to that later. It's going to take us a couple of weeks to finally really dial that one in. But I'll give you a heads up on this. Guilt is really remorse, and when we experience it, experience remorse, it's usually to get us to stop doing something that we are currently doing that is wrong. That's the design of it. But a lot of times people feel guilt because they're not doing the right thing, that we're not showing up in life like we know that we are supposed to be living into life. Like, I'm not showing up for my family like I should be showing up. I'm not showing up as an employee like I should be showing up. I'm not showing up in my own potential, my own life's purpose. And therefore, since I am living below the standard, see, there's nothing worse than knowing that you have extraordinary potential, that you are gifted, that you are a passionate person about certain things, but you're fake working 6 out of 8 hours of the day, that you're just kind of going through the motions. See, that produces guilt because none of you are wired to be just going through the motions every day. You weren't wired just to coast, and that the things that you do don't really matter and have a greater purpose. So what happens is that in your heart, you feel guilt because you're working for an employer who probably doesn't, validate your existence and affirm what it is that you bring to the table. You're probably doing skills that are below your skill level, or they're not connected with your purpose, but you're doing it for the paycheck. And that makes you feel guilty because inside you, you're wired for more than that. When you know that you are wired, and intrinsically, every one of you know, there's nothing wrong with working for people, and there's nothing wrong with working certain jobs, as long as it's connected to something greater that you're not feeling guilt and you're not conflicted with yourself. This is conflict. When you're feeling guilt in your life every day, there's a conflict going on that something is not being addressed and something's not being resolved. So if you're experiencing this, then we know that we are out of alignment. It may mean that you need a career change. It may mean that you need a purpose change. It may mean that you need to be showing up in your life differently. It may mean that you need to start showing up with your family differently. But guilt can be traced to something. So guilt usually is designed to shut us down, but a lot of times people try to use guilt to motivate themselves, and guilt's a terrible motivator. It's actually a demotivator. And that's why we need to get back onto the things that really matter and get realigned. And then you'll watch guilt just drop off in a heartbeat. A couple of other feelings that drive people who are out of alignment. Sadness is another one. That is connected to something. Why do we generally feel sad? I'm not talking about clinical depression, and I'm not talking about, chemical imbalances or whatever. I'm talking about the fact that if you're experiencing sadness, that's an emotional state that you feel yourself in a lot, it's connected to something where you know that in your heart there's something more, but we're living below it. Third thing, and obviously these are not exhaustive, but anxiety. If you have anxiety in large parts of your life, you're feeling stress, you're feeling apprehension, then something's off, and we need to bring ourselves back into alignment. Let me say hello to just a couple of people really quick. There's Sam from Oceanside. How's it going, Sam? I was down there just the other day. Tara's joining us from Vegas. And we've got Becoming a Better You from DFW. Very cool. Awesome. All right, let me speed this up. Number 2, second sign that your life is out of alignment is that you lack a sense of purpose, meaning, or fulfillment. And let me give you some indicators of what that is exactly. If you are experiencing feeling numb, that is not okay. If there is a numbness in you, let's think about it in your own body. if I remember years ago, and I was in college, and I was hanging out with these guys really late, and we're by the pool, and there was some guy who'd gotten invited, and you get bored after a while and everything else, and you're just sitting around just like doing stupid guy things when you're in college or whatever. We're sitting there talking, and this guy was talking, they were talking about how gross his foot was. And I'd never seen the guy's feet because he was a new guy to the group or whatever, but people knew him and they're like, oh, his feet are gross or whatever. And he has elephantitis. And basically your foot gets all like deformed. It looks deformed, but worse is that your foot loses all sensitivity. And I watched that guy put his foot over an open flame and he couldn't feel the thing. Now, here's the problem with that. It's not that, oh, well, he wasn't feeling pain, everything's okay. No, actually what can happen is that you're not feeling pain, but something can be, but pain signals are supposed to tell you something. If you're feeling pain, it's actually a good sign of life. It's actually a good sign that you're still connected in your heart to something, and that your body's still connected, because pain has a purpose. Pain tells you something's not right. Move your hand away from the flame, whatever it is. It's there to keep you safe and to keep you healthy. And when you can't feel it, what would happen to people when they have these different conditions or nerve conditions in their feet or whatever? They're not feeling the normal pain that other people would feel. And what ends up happening is that they end up having to get amputated or something like that, because it can go to rot and it can actually die on the limb. This is what is happening to a lot of people. And I believe that post 2020, this is what we're seeing a lot of with people in general, is that they've come into this sense of numbness. If you're feeling numb, if you are passive, if you are apathetic about your life, all of those things are signs of like futility. Futility is just simply, man, I'm just not accomplishing anything and we're not getting anything done. Look in your life right now. If you are lacking a sense of accomplishment, or if all of your accomplishments are behind you, I'm here to tell you that you're out of alignment in your life. Second thing that I would say along with this is, if you've stopped or are not getting any traction on any goals or purposes right now in your life, there's nothing that you've actually set your sight towards that you're not doing, and you know that you're not getting any traction, or you haven't gotten any new traction towards something, a lack of a goal, a lack of a purpose, and a lack of a milestone that I can see right now. Here I am right now in relation to my goal. If I'm not making any meaningful traction in my life, it's a sign that I'm out of alignment. Also, if the urgent or just daily life, just the activities of daily life are driving you more than your purposes. Oh, let me park here for a second, because I know that I have moms who are on here. And I think that this is something that gets moms and gets women more than it gets men in general, because you are the most relied upon. And let me honor moms for a second. You know where everything is. I know they make light and make jokes about it on Instagram of things appearing in the refrigerator that nobody could see, or, and I do the same thing with my wife. I'm like, hey, have you seen this pair of shoes? And she knows exactly where it is or whatever. I know people make light of that. A guy will never understand the burden that a mom or a wife or a woman in general actually carries in the middle of all these things. Because there are things that if you don't take hold of them, it seems that nobody else will pick it up and no one's going to pick up your slack. Completely understand that. But this is one that I feel like gets women more than men, and gets moms especially more than anybody, is because you're sitting there and you're thinking about everybody else's needs and everything else. But this is but I want to warn you, this means that in your own life, if you're feeling a little bit off in this area, this is a reason why. Because the daily life and the daily activities and the daily things that need to get done and looking out for everybody else means that it's pulled you out of alignment for your own purposes. Third sign, you stay pretty exhausted and fatigued. And when I say pretty exhausted and fatigued, what I really mean by that is that you're more tired than you should be. You know how much activity. It's fine if you worked like 60 hours last week. It's fine if you had a lot of different things that you were doing. House cleaning, washing the car, moving, heavy lifting, yard work, like whatever. You can fill in the blank of all the things that could possibly make you exhausted. But we know what it means when you can't seem to get enough sleep, and fatigue seems to be settling in, and for some reason you just feel exhausted. You know what this is? It means your life's out of alignment. I'd also add to this as well, is that if your tiredness is winning over the motivation to get things done, you're out of alignment in your life. 4, you feel off. You ever hear anybody say that? Have you said that? I just feel kind of off. I don't know. Like, or you might even say, well, you know what? I just don't feel like myself. Or you don't feel like yourself in some kind of way. Well, what does that even mean? It means that in you, you know what your default is. You know what your personality is. You know what kind of a person that you are. You know if you're one of those people who is known for an iconic laugh, belly laughter, all those things, which I would say, if you're not seeing a lot of joy, if you can't think of the last time that you really laughed out loud and it hurt, if that's not a consistent part of your life, and I know that some people laugh more than others, I understand that. But if there was a time when you had more joy in your life, when you had more fulfillment in your life, when you had a higher level that you were living at in terms of your emotional state, that you felt really good, then that's an indicator that life's out of alignment. Some of you might even describe this as, I used to be more whatever. I used to be funnier. I used to be the life of the party. I used to be, so full of life. I used to be so vivacious. I used to have such purpose. I used to have such passion. I used to have such tenacity. I used to be so aggressive. Now, here's the thing, is that it's not that. I understand that there are certain degrees of performance orientation that's really unhealthy. And I agree with that. There's sometimes we need to turn things off. What I'm really talking about here in this is that if your personality has shifted in ways that you are not happy with, then that's telling you that you're out of alignment. Let's get to 5. 5 is this: you've just simply lost your why. And when I say you have lost your why, there's some real good indicators of that. Is that you can see in your life that your passion has waned. If you find that you get angry and you get annoyed for no obvious reason, that's not always hormones. I know we blame it on that stuff. A lot of times you're just like, oh, I'm just feeling really hormonal, or I'm this, that, or the other. If you notice that for some reason you're just, why are these people annoying me? Why is this particular person seem to annoy me when they are around or whatever? A lot of times, because I believe that the purpose in our life and what we get up in the morning for is connected to people, and it's connected to relationships. That's something that we'll talk about in the next few weeks. And sometimes if there are certain individuals who get under our skin and it's not even their fault, that you find yourself really quickly angry or really annoyed, sometimes it can be because they're living into their purpose and we're not. But the other reason that it could be is it's because we're feeling a bit of resentment because this person in this relationship is probably keeping me from living into the life that I'm supposed to live. And that's another area of our life that we have to be aligned. We have to be aligned relationally. We have to have the right kinds of relationships with us, and we also have to have the appropriate healthy relationships in order to get to where we need to go. Hey, you're not stuck with your family, but if you're the leader in your family, then you need to start leading. I don't know who this is for, but I'm feeling this. I had no plan to say this. If you are the leader in your family, which means that you are a guardian, and that does not mean that it necessarily means that you make the most money in the household, but you are stuck with the tag of mom or dad, then you need to be leading and not being led and not being manipulated and not being treated like a puppet and not just bowing down to everybody's whims and what they want, because that is a life that's out of alignment. And at a certain point, resentment is going to cripple you. This is why anger and finding other people annoying, or situations annoying, or why did I just have this anger outburst? This is what we're really talking about here, is that we're getting angry and annoyed for no obvious reason. But I'll tell you, the obvious reason is that you're just out of alignment. If you feel shut down, you're a person who's lost their why, and you're out of alignment. And the last thing that I'll say on this is that if you're finding that you can't make a decision to move forward in a particular area of your life, whether that's in your career, whether it's your finances, some kind of a buying decision, it's a relational decision, whatever. If you're finding conflict right now, and there's a significant decision that you need to be making in your life, but for some reason you can't seem to find the activation energy to actually make a choice, to make a decision, then that shows me right there that you're out of alignment and you don't know what your why is. Now, let's brush all that aside, because I don't want, and here's the thing, is that I never do frou-frou Mentor Mondays. I'm showing you the beginning stages of, the beginning of this entire series that we're about to do. And I'm going to give you all this information, and I'm going to give you tools, and you don't have to wonder if on a Monday night, Paul's just going to try to upsell you to something. I'm not. I'm here to actually help you in this thing. And I took a lot of time kind of giving us some foundational things, but let me finish with just a little bit of hope and also knowing where we're going in this thing. It's great news if you feel these things. It's only bad news if you're out of alignment and you feel nothing. Because I have real concerns if you're out of alignment and you're not feeling and you're not noticing any of these warning signs. See, if you're noticing these things, sometimes you don't have it really connected the dots yet, but you feel it. And you know what that tells me? It tells me that there's still due north in you, that there is something out there, and maybe you haven't resolved that. Maybe you haven't spoken to that area of yourself. Maybe you haven't been led by that thing anymore. Maybe you haven't been on due north. There is due north, but you've been going the wrong direction. Or maybe you're not even taking ground in any direction, but it's kind of floating around over here. It's all good news. It's all great news. You know why? Because it means that you're alive, you're okay, that the answer is inside you, because you're a resource to yourself in this, and you can get recalibrated and you can get realigned actually pretty easily. What it really is that it's just a matter of looking at the key areas of your life to realign where your life needs to be. What is alignment? It's agreement. What did I say earlier? Alignment is agreement. All you've got to do is know your why, know where you're going, and all you got to do then is that you bring your thoughts, your choices, your action, and your direction into alignment with it. It's really that simple. That's what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. Let me tell you where we're going again. Agreement is just alignment. That's what it is. Alignment is agreement. What am I doing? Is that I'm bringing all of these key areas in my life, these main focal points. Because if I bring a car into a car repair place, I don't have to look everywhere to try to figure out what the alignment issue is. I only need to look at a few key areas. And if I can look at a few key areas and recalibrate it, then we're back to really the car doing what it's supposed to be doing. The car shouldn't be pulling me and pushing me everywhere. And I shouldn't be looking like this. What I should be doing is that I am in control. Yes, there's going to be adjustments along the way. And some of you might just need an adjustment. You haven't had a tune-up in a while. When it comes to looking at your life, that's completely fine. That's what we need to do right now, because the car should not be driving you. You should be driving the car. You should be in control, not tense and everything else. When you know where you're going, which is an important part, I know where I'm going. I know what my why is. That's behind me. And now I've got control of this thing. And yes, there's still going to be a little bit of adjustment every now and then. There's going to be some key little tweaking here and there, but it's not like tenacity, and it's not you trying to stay so focused that you're being pulled off of the road at any given moment. What we're really talking about is getting due north in your life again and knowing what your why is. And you know what? Once you have who you are and what matters to you, and you know where you're going, then it makes all your decisions really, really easy. Makes all of those other things, makes your Relationships are forced to come into alignment. Your choices are forced to come into alignment. The decisions that you're making, the direction that you're taking every day falls into alignment. So that's all we really need to do. And that's what we're going to be really focused on over the next few weeks. Hey, just so you guys know, we do have our last online weekend certification program coming up August 25th through the 27th. Now, what we do we start on a Friday, we end on Sunday. You knock out all of your training in a single weekend. You just need to turn in your assignments and take the exam, and you're done. You're certified as a coach. I know some of you don't want to sit there and do that week after week kind of thing. And some of you can't really muster up the motivation to do self-paced. We have those things covered, as far as our life coach certification course. But for those of you who are like, dude, I need to do this, and maybe that's part of what your alignment is right now. You actually need to make a choice. You've refused to make a choice. Your job's not getting any better. Your choice with regard to purpose, your job's not going to get you there when it comes to your purpose. And it may not even be paying the bills and getting you the freedom that you want in your life. Whatever it is, there's a reason why we're talking today. And I believe that coaching is a really, really big part of it. But it requires taking a step and making a clear, irrevocable decision to do something. Now, here's what we do on one of these weekends. We start on a Friday night, and we have 7 powerful weekend sessions. What do we include in that? We include in each one of these sessions foundations of coaching, the anatomy of a dynamic coaching session, how to help your clients get extraordinary results, 2 sessions on how to listen on a transformational level, how to ask powerful questions, and how to establish a growing coaching practice. We end that weekend with me not only showing you how to do coaching agreements, but I talk to you about business structure. I talk to you about what does it look like to start a business where you can thrive financially. And if you want to leave your full-time job, we show you ways to create multiple streams of income so that you can make that happen. In the original version of Bootcamp, we didn't include those things, but I never want to do anything that we're doing in a single dimensional way. Yes, you will learn coaching skills, but we want to give you some business training in that last session so that you know how to go about your business. This weekend also includes live coaching demos, and it also includes live Q&As, because I know a lot of you haven't seen coaching before. You'll be able to experience it firsthand, and you'll get to practice it, and you also get live Q&As at the end of the week. What all is included? Well, it's 7 live sessions with live Q&As and role-playing. It's also coaching tools, question samples, coaching agreement, and intake samples. Also, life coach certification. Also, your certificate, HD replays and handouts, because here's what I would say. I don't expect in an accelerated weekend that you remember everything that we talked about. And so this allows you to really immerse yourself in the training all over again after the weekend is over with. You also get free audits for life once you enroll in Bootcamp. Now, the cost has always been $247, but what we're doing this week only, and it's going to end on Friday, we're dropping the price to $195. And that's ridiculous. If you've looked at most training that's out there right now in the world, it's ranging from minimum $1,000 up to about $14,000. And honestly, even if you find a cheap program that's out there, it doesn't include live training, and it doesn't include engagement with your instructor or other coaches or anything else. And we've done all of these things. How are we able to do it so affordably? For one, because we made a decision to do that when we started. We've never increased our prices since we started our school 10 years ago, and we're not doing that now. We're giving you more than we've ever given you before without increasing the price. And we've also created a lot of interactivity and a lot of engagement. The other reason that we're able to do it at this price is that we don't have a sales team. So you never go through that haggle, because I'll tell you, if you need to buy a $5,000 coaching program, they're going to have to sell you, and you're going to have to pay a sales team about 20 to 25% commission to go and sell that for you. And so that drives the prices up in all of those cases. And so we've just determined that we're going to make it affordable. We're going to make it fit in your budget, and you're not going to have to deal with some kind of a sales team. This is pretty straightforward. Listen, anybody can come up with this. And you can be, if we're not resourceful enough to come up with $195, then we've got bigger, belief systems and toxic thoughts and everything else than what we realize. Hey, there is a $47 a month program that you can enroll in as well. So just know that there is an easy pay for those of you who are like, man, I just can't come up with $195 up front or whatever. At least enroll $47 a month. This price is going away after Friday, and it'll go back up to $247. But again, this weekend is August 25th through the 27th. Now, now I'm going to show you a way to actually save even more money, and it's this. If you enroll in Jumpstart, that link is inside the description right now. You get boot camp, you get the life coach certification course, you get trained and certified as a coach, and you get all of our business development courses, which literally gives you the A to Z business development roadmap that includes Wednesday night group coaching calls. It includes Tuesday night training as well as boot camp. You get it all for $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment. Now, that costs us more money because we make more money when you go for the one-time payment kind of thing. When you do that and you just do the course, we technically make more money and you're in and out. And you know what? If you want to do that, more power to you. But it's only $97 out of pocket, up front. And then 90-day minimum commitment. You can cancel anytime after that. You can join us for a boot camp. You can also join us Tuesday nights for the life coach certification course, where we go week by week in the training. You'll also get access to all of the courses that are involved. Our branding course called Brand Camp. You're also going to get the coaching product launch blueprint, where we show you how to take an idea from thought to actually launching a product or launching your practice. We've thought through every one of those steps. I'm just encouraging you tonight, whatever is the next step. I'm not trying to confuse you. It's either go for Jumpstart or just get trained and certified on August 25th through the 27th. But you do need to act now, because I will tell you this. This price does go away on Friday, and you won't be able to negotiate it back, because it's just it's gonna expire. And then on Saturday, it's going to be $247 again. And so I'm just going to highly encourage you, click the link inside the description, get enrolled. It'll take you about 90 seconds. And again, you're going to continue having access to all the course. You'll also, if you enroll in boot camp, we'll also continue inviting you to come to Tuesday night training. So you're never on your own. We're not just some internet school where you go through the training and you download your certificate. We're high touch. We have a lot of opportunities for you to engage with other coaches as well as me. And so we want to take you by the hand and make this happen. Let us do that with you. Let's make a clear, irrevocable decision to do that even tonight. Let me say hello to a couple more people who are in here. Tara says, this is my favorite program. Thank you, Tara. Who else do I need to say hello to who is in here? Renee from California. Good to see you, Renee. So good. Well, cool. Well, I am going to head out of here. Got a little, thank you, Miles. I got a little send off. That's one of the things in California. Everybody's leaving California. Probably every one of you who are living in another state, whether you're in Vegas like Tara or wherever you're at, if you're in Texas right now or whatever, you're probably meeting people who are moving from California. And so we're saying goodbye to some good friends and hosting them tonight. So I'm going to be heading out of here so that I can go make an appearance at that party and say a tearful goodbye. You just never get, it's so sad to always say goodbye, but you're always saying goodbye to people in California. So, oh, well. All right, everyone. Well, listen. Oh, and here's what Tara's saying about boot camp. Tara says, boot camp is an incredible experience. I've attended 3 of them, and I always learn something new. There you go. There's your selling point. Thanks for the sales, Tara. All right. Well, I am going to head out of here. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Click the link inside of the description and get enrolled tonight. It'll take you about 90 seconds. Have a great rest of your week and take care.